And once we hit got it, we're ready to go. All right, so this is, as we said earlier, the Department of Literacy, Teaching and Learning MS Info session. All right, and we've done our introductions and our welcome. So let's get started for the information. So some of you are interested in online, some of you are interested in person. So if you come to campus, you'll get to see the absolutely gorgeous fountains. And it feels like almost every day of late has been this beautiful blue sky. All right, so for anyone seeking teacher certification, we do have a special education and literacy 2 program. And this provides with 3 certifications, initial and professional in childhood, special education, and literacy specialist. I'm thinking that there isn't anyone on the call who would be interested in this, but just to give you the information, it's designed for prospective students who already have a bachelor's degree and who decide now they'd like to enter the teaching profession. You do have initial cert in 3 areas, which makes the local superintendents incredibly happy because they call us all the time asking us for our graduates because, again, childhood, literacy, and special education. It is a 2-year full-time on-campus program, and we do admit in the summer only. You'll notice, as Alyssa was saying earlier, that in the Department of Literacy, Teaching and Learning, we do run several admission cycles across the school year. All right, and MS in reading. We have 2 options if you're interested in pursuing the MS in reading. The first is that you can complete the MS in reading for professional certification if you hold an initial cert. So other students who are pursuing perhaps other careers in reading, are really passionate about literacy, but do not have teacher certification, it is not required for this particular program. If you choose that option, if you choose option 2 within the MS in reading, it won't lead to teacher certification. And you're going to be sure, if you have questions, you're going to raise your hand and make sure you ask or put it in the chat. And Risha, you'll monitor the chat, right?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so how to obtain professional certification? For those of you who already hold or are student teaching and are about to hold initial teacher certification, there are 3 steps to obtaining your professional certification. You'll have a master's degree in an approved program, that would be us, 3 years of teaching as well as mentoring. And you do have 5 years from when your initial from your initial to complete the above steps. And Alyssa, they haven't extended those. I mean, there are COVID certs and all kinds of other things that were happening in the years past, but did they change the 5 years?
They did not.
Okay. All right. So initial teacher certification in the same area. If you decide to join us for the MS in early childhood, which would be 30 credits, or the MS in childhood education, then that would be the same teacher certification area. If you decided that you wanted to join us for the MS in reading, then that could be any area. And Alyssa, you're going to make sure I say all of that information accurately.
Yes, it's actually not through individual evaluation, it's through something called certificate progression. But I do want to point out that for any student who pursues this pathway, our office helps you in the application process. Actually, for any of these programs, we help you through the application process when you're applying for your professional.
You guys are amazing at that. And like, we always send everyone to you. They're like, Alyssa will help you figure that out.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. Yeah.
All right. So if you decide that you would like to join us for the MS
in literacy.
Yeah.
Emily.
My question is, for initial certification, it has to be a New York State certification, I'm assuming?
It depends on the program.
Okay, because I hold teaching certificates in 3 other states because my husband has moved us quite a bit. So, but I actually am not certified in the state of New York. So would that mean that I should be more looking at the ones that require the initial certification or not?
Not necessarily, Emily. So that is something my office can sort of guide you to the right process of applying for,
Okay.
essentially you would have to apply for the certification here in New York.
Right.
But the MS in reading is always a great option for out-of-state students who are hoping to start right away, because you don't have to have the certification in order to start. But based on which, what certification your out-of-state certifications transfer to in New York State, you could certainly be eligible for other programs.
Okay.
So if
okay.
you want to, I'm going to enter my email address in the chat, and if you want to reach out to me, I can sort of walk you through that process a little bit.
That would be wonderful. Thank you so much. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And Emily, the other thing is, if you want to get started right away, you can start with the MS in reading and then transfer over. So that's
Oh,
another,
okay.
that's
Is-
another
Okay.
option as well.
That also applies to the childhood and early childhood. It's not just the
Okay.
MS in reading.
Okay. Okay. That's really good information to have. Thank you so much.
So hopefully you like lots of options because we just gave you multiple.
Yes.
All right. So the literacy certification, the second initial and professional certification. So in New York State, if you have an initial teacher certification in any area, that's a requirement for the program. And currently you can choose B6, so birth to grade 6, that's 30 credits, grades 5 to 12, 30 credits, or birth to grade 6. And grades 5 to 12, which is sort of the Cadillac of the programs, and then you leave with B12 certification. So that one is our more intensive. That one is our more intensive program. So again, you see we have lots and lots of options. So if literacy is your passion, you have lots of choices and ways to choose.
Can I just hop in there super quick?
You sure can.
So New York State has done away with what they call grade bands of certification. So when we're looking at birth through 6, that's one grade band. When we're looking at grades 5 through 12, that's another grade band. So as of right now, programs that offer grade band certifications can continue. But I believe that by 2029, all of them will be eliminated and replaced with an all grades certificate in literacy. This is not true for like childhood education will still be childhood ed. That will still be grades 1 to 6. But for literacy certifications and for special education certifications, they will no longer be offering grade band certifications, only the all grade. For each of those, it will be pre-K to 12. And so I just want people to be aware of that in case they're like, maybe that means I want to do the birth through 12 option, since that's the certification that everyone else will have moving forward starting in 2020. It's either 2026 or 2029. We will obviously be making the appropriate adjustments to be in line with New York State Education Department regulations, and that, that new certification for all grades. We have a certain number of years in order to get our programs in line, but I did just want to mention that, there will be some changes. Certain certifications, if you earn the birth through 6 or the 5 through 12, that is still a valid certificate in the future. Like it doesn't invalidate the certificate that you earned in a certain grade band. So I just wanted to make you all aware of that, just so that you have the most knowledge moving forward.
Right. And again, we will work with you as you transition, and some of you will graduate before those shifts take place.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. All right, additional certification exams. So if you enroll in the MS in early childhood or childhood education or MS in reading, you do not need to take an additional certification exam for your professional certificate. And if you're in the MS in literacy program, you need to take the content specialty test, which is called the CST, in literacy for your certificate. And by the way, we have outstanding pass rates for that exam. So you'll be very impressed with how well our students do with that. All right, so initial certification requirement. And let's see, Kathleen, you're a student teaching, right?
Yep.
Okay, there you go. So but by New York State regulations, admission to our programs require initial cert. Again, as we said, except the MS in reading and special ed lit 2. If you're missing any requirements or need to complete an exam, we may admit you as a conditional admit. So that gives you time to finalize some of those additional tests you might need to take or complete anything for your initial certification. So prior to registering for your second semester, you'll update the department on the status of your certification, and you do need to have your initial certificate completed before taking more than 12 credits. So those are some of our gatekeeping and the application process. So what do we need to do? Please, please, please carefully complete all the questions on the application. Take your time with the written questions because we read your responses carefully for what you say and to learn how you express your thoughts in writing and what are your goals, what are your experiences, and who are you as a literacy learner. So those are all things that will be included on your application questions and as part of your application process. And be sure to have someone check and make sure you're all set and settled with your editing as you submit your application.
Brigid?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. I know I can probably look on the website, but do you know off the top of your head the deadline dates to start in the summer of next year for the application? Or is it like I could do it any time, or do I have to have it in by a certain date to be able to start in the summer?
We should take it away.
Yeah, I don't remember summer. I'm looking it up though. I'll let you know in a second.
Okay, no problem.
We're gonna answer that as we go.
Okay, thanks.
You bet. All right, so transcripts. Transcripts are required from all schools where you've completed 12 plus credits. So unofficial copies are accepted for review. Once you're admitted, you will share your official copies. They will be required. All right, 3 letters of recommendation. Really important, at least one letter should be from an instructor speaking to your, oh, well, look at me doing that. Speaking to your academic performance and your success as a student. All right, now let me make sure. Oh, Risha, thank you. Summer deadline is May 1st. Excellent, excellent. That gives you plenty of time to work on that application. All right, questions about the application. So be the questions, the transcripts, letters of recommendation. Do we have any questions on the application process? All right, we'll keep going.
Can I ask a question?
You sure
Sorry,
can.
If you have been out of school for about 20 years, do you still want me to reach out? I mean, one of my professors from undergrad was at my wedding. We still have a relationship, but that was a long time ago. Is there an
Right.
alternative that you would prefer for an older student returning to school?
So if for someone returning, you might decide if you've engaged in professional development, you might have someone who talks about your engagement in professional development in one of the districts where you've been more recently.
Okay.
So yes, and you'll name that. Well, while I am certified across 3 different states, it's been a while since I took any classes, and here are my more current
Okay.
experiences.
Is like someone that you've done research with an acceptable
Absolutely,
alternative? Okay, great.
absolutely.
I would just
absolutely.
address it in the questions.
Okay, okay.
Because again, that's why the questions are so important, as that you make clear and that you tell your story. Here's who I am, and here's what I'm hoping to learn as I join the program.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
You bet. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the application review. So your application will be reviewed independently by 2 faculty members. Our review process includes looking at your academic performance to date, your subject matter knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, your teaching skills. Often that comes through with your letters of recommendation as well, and your academic writing. So once your application has been reviewed, you may be admitted, conditionally admitted, or denied. Well, we're all going to go for the admitted and the conditionally admitted. All right. So students who are given conditional admission, as we said earlier, have until the completion of 12 credits to submit any documentation that's missing. All right. So let's see. Krista, you said you were interested in online programming. So taking online courses, our online courses are often offered both in a synchronous or an asynchronous format. So our synchronous courses meet the same time each week via Zoom, asynchronous Blackboard, and we are transitioning to Brightspace. So I don't know if any of you have experienced Brightspace in your undergraduate experience, but with asynchronous, there are no preset meeting times, but there are set times for assignment submissions. It is really important to remember that at the graduate level, online courses are seminars. You'll interact with your peers multiple times throughout the week. You'll engage with them. There are dedicated discussion board postings, which is how you engage. And the expectation is that you are engaging multiple times each week. So online courses are not independent studies. And although it does offer time and location flexibility. All right. Many of our courses have a practicum component, especially if you're in the literacy B6, 512, or B12. And several years down the road to be the all grade certificate, they will still also have practicum courses. So the practicum experiences are a part of your coursework. So on-campus students, you'll meet at a local elementary school after school where you teach students for the first part. So for most courses, you tutor for the first hour or hour and 15 minutes, depending on the required number of hours for that course. And we do offer some practicum experience virtually via Zoom since the pandemic. And we found that some families find the Zoom option so helpful for their very busy lives. So when you meet at a local elementary school, you remain at the school for the remainder of the lecture portion of your class. So that's been very exciting. And some of the schools where we work, Abram Lansing and Harmony Hill in Cohoes, Bratt Elementary in Mahonison, Eagle Point in Albany City School District, and several schools in South Colony as well. So we have lots of amazing partners where we host our practicum courses. If you are an online student and you are engaging in practicum courses, you might video record or via Zoom during the after school hours at your own school. You do need a technology for those experiences. And should you decide that you want to be an online student, you'll have all of the technology details given to you. And so if you are an online student, you arrange the practicum experiences with students in your building with permission from your building or district administrator and family members. So the students love it. And whether you are tutoring via Zoom and virtually or in a school, the practicum experiences are absolutely amazing. And you make a difference in a young learner's life. All right, transfer credit forms. All right. Operative word in the first key point is graduate. If you have taken graduate credit at another institution and wish to transfer the credits to your UAlbany master's degree program, you may request for the courses to be transferred. So graduate, if you've been a part of a BSMS and your graduate courses were taken as part of your undergrad experiences, those are not admissible. All right, I said that correctly, right, Melissa? All right, thank you, Risha. All right, the earlier you complete the transfer credit form, the better, and the less likely you'll take a course comparable to what we might accept as transfer credit. The practicum courses are not transfer because we want you to work within our program for the practicum experiences. So if you decide you have some courses you would like to transfer in, it is essential that you include both a course description and a syllabus with your request. And we can accept up to 6 credits toward your master's degree. Misha, anything else I can add since you know everything there is to know about transfer credit?
No, that was good.
All right. All right, so departmental attributes. You'll hear a lot about the departmental attributes in our program. These serve as a framework for your studies. So while you're with us, you'll explore literacy development, disciplinary literacies, and knowledge building. through all of your practicum courses. And if you decide you're in childhood or early childhood, you're teaching of writing courses, 615, how to become a responsive teacher and promote strategic learning. You'll focus on the standards. You'll look at the shift from Common Core to Next Gen. Multiple assessments of literacies, how to engage with your colleagues in database decision-making. Always framing literacy as social cultural practice. What are the funds of knowledge children and families bring with them to their literacy learning? Critical literacies and equity focus. And always, how do we respectfully represent students, families, colleagues, and communities? Especially within the pandemic, materials, resources, digital technology, such an explosion of amazing resources. And again, how do we critically examine, question, and wonder which resources are the best for the learners we are working with at this moment in time? Central to all of the courses, how do we engage learners? We know that sometimes learners comply and complete. We focus on how do we support students to engage deeply and thoughtfully. And in your coursework, you will become part of collaborative learning communities. So the attributes are discussed and written about in each course. So each course has what we call a course reflective essay. So you will actually write about a few of the courses within the course reflective essay. And then at the end of your program, and this is usually if you take 677, 620, 623, all those numbers will matter when you join us. But the culminating project draws on your learning across the entire program. So you complete what is called the AFRE rather than a comprehensive exam or thesis requirement. And that includes artifacts from across your courses, and students talk about their learning. Local superintendents say they always know when those get turned in because people use the information they've gained as part of their interviews. And the local superintendents are always saying to us, your students are so well versed in the literature. And we're like, yes, of course they are. All right, so now what questions do you have? So Alyssa, you said you were going to stop the chat. Stop the